Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. As Today we have a very special show regarding what is taking place in Bangladesh. I am sure many of you are watching your screens. The whole country is completely engripped in protest, especially students. Students across the country have taken to the streets, which is now it's in a complete. Yani, we don't know what this protest will turn into, but one thing is for sure: that this police is out there. You have the military out there. You have all kinds of different security apparatus, security services out there. The death toll has reached, I think, over 200 and even more. It could be in the thousands, to be honest, but we never get the real numbers. And it's growing. This is not new what's happening in Bangladesh. It has, especially the role of the students, the role of the universities, student politics have always played a very interesting role, because it seems that many even political parties they understand the role of the students and the role of course, the youth in general in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a country of almost 165 or maybe even 165 million, I think. The brother can correct it if I'm wrong, million people. So it's a big country, it's a big population, and it has a very interesting role within the region. It's surrounded, it's India on one side, China on the other side. You have, of course, the old Pakistan politics. Then you have, in general, very interesting region that Bangladesh is based in. So to talk about all of these things, especially what's happening on the streets of Bangladesh now, we have our brother Rezaul Karim. Alhamdulillah, he's an activist. More than that, he's been a member and is a member of Bangladesh Supreme Court Bar, which is huge. And this is very rare to have this level of people to come and talk to us, people who understand what's happening on the ground, who's a lawyer, who's been practicing and in Bangladesh for 10 years, someone who knows the realities and politics of Bangladesh. So I don't want to waste much of your time. But Brother Rezaul Karim, welcome to Islamic Oasis Live.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Brother Rada, I mean, let's start with this situation. If you can first of all unpack what is taking place on the streets of Bangladesh, to kind of give the audience the ground realities of what's taking place in Bangladesh.
Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, As-salatu salamu ala Rasulullah. Brother, what's happening in last week now in Bangladesh is really unbelievable, and something, no one could ever even think about it. The protest, which started off as a small group of students on the issue of it's called the quota system, which is the reserve seat for the civil service, government civil jobs, which is been reserved for members of the family of freedom fighters, the veterans who fought in 1971. So about 30% of these jobs are reserved for these freedom fighters and their family members. And also there's other quotas, like for some 10% for women, 10% for those districts of this country who are behind, and there's a 1% for ethnic minority, and there's another 5% for people with physically challenging. So altogether, it's come up to 56% basically, and it's reserved. That makes the student, bit unhappy, because those who are doing their studies, getting the qualification from good universities, but at the end they are not getting the job, because they are competing within that 46% or 44%.
Mm.
Uh, on the top that there is a serious crisis of job, on the non-government sector. So in the government sector, it is very lucrative. People want a secure job there, but they cannot get it because of this quota system. And out of all this quota, mostly the people are really not happy about the 30% that is reserved for the member of the freedom fighters, because the war took place in 1971. It's been 53 years over. The person who fought in the 1971, he doesn't need the job anymore. Neither for his son or daughter, is the grandson and granddaughter.
Mm.
So basically, they people are saying that it's being enough. We respect them who fought for the country, but this cannot be going on and on. And also because it is known in Bangladesh that the current ruling party, the Awami League, who was the in a leading position, the leader of this party, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, he was the leader at the time of 71, the liberation war. And so they claim to be they represent the freedom fighters sections of the people. So basically when they reserve this 30% for the freedom fighters, it's actually going to the person who are very loyalist to the government,
Mm.
loyalist to the current regime. So this is something created bit of dissatisfaction among the student. But the issue has turned into a in a massive scale now. This is how it started off a week ago. But then uh, the government from the government, it was said that you have to wait because the matter is sub judice, because there is a uh, case pending in the court, in the high court. The high court actually gave a ruling back in 2018 that the government must preserve the quota system. The government actually came up with an excuse that we cannot do anything until we appeal this thing, and the appellate division of the Supreme Court, into the highest, the apex body, they can give us they allow us to make the modification. The government first of all give an excuse that we cannot do anything, but the student, they did not buy this thing argument, because they knew that in Bangladesh the kind of the democracy, if you like to call it, we have in Bangladesh, where the ruling party, they're actually controlling all the institutions. The court is not functioning independently. So the student, they demanded that no, we cannot wait for the court. You must make an executive order, because the court is actually, the judges are your students
Mm.
basically. So they demanded this. The government in the meantime asked the student to wait until the appeal is heard in the court, but the student, they kept protesting on the street. In the meantime, out of a frustration, the prime minister, she made some comment about the protesters.
Right.
That
Something.
actually sparked the, ignite the whole things. And she actually said that if I do not give the quota to the freedom fighters, should I give it to the Rajakar? Rajakar refers to the person who actually collaborated with the Pakistani army during the 1971 war.
Mm.
And this is seen as very defamatory word in Bangladesh. But
Mm.
then students, they took it differently. They said that, "Oh, the prime minister, we are asking for our rights and you call us Rajakar."
Mm.
You see, so they took it seriously. And then the protest, the chanting got they changed their chanting. They said, "We are Rajakar now." You understand this is how the thing really bit by bit out of control. Then the prime minister, the ruling party, they unleashed their student wings. They have a like
And basically, thugs,
if you
government
like,
thugs.
the cadre. Their cadre, you know who actually went into the university. It mostly started in the Dhaka University, the main university in the
Right.
country,
Right.
which is the main place for most of these all protests and demonstration, historically known for this. So when the student wings or the cadre wings of the ruling party called Satro League,
Mm.
they get into the university and they assaulted the general student, and they even assaulted the female student. So
Yeah.
it get even worse. And the next day the student, they the all other universities, they joined, the private university student, they joined. So it becomes like it's spread it all over the country now. And then the next day, what we saw, that the police was deployed to quell this demonstration, the protest. But the police, they got really heavy-handed, and something that's really unbelievable, and no one could imagine that they shoot some of these protesters the blind point.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
These
I'm
students,
seeing. So it's unbelievable what we're seeing on the screens, Sheikh. I mean, I think I forgot the name of the brother, and he was shot 3 different times. He's just standing. I don't know. That became the symbol. It looks like that's becoming the symbol of the protest. I mean, it was shocking for me to see, yani, the way they are shooting, and then I mean, has this happened to this level before? I mean, how many are dead? How do you know? I mean, from the numbers that have been killed.
right now, it's very difficult because last 3 days there is a cut off,
The internet has been cut off,
telecommunication.
right? Yeah.
We do not know exact number. From the social media and some other sources, the amount definitely varies, but it's something between now 160 to 300 now.
Hmm.
What I know, but Allah knows the best. But and the thousands of students are injured badly. So
Right.
many of them are actually dying in the hospital, but we do not
Yeah.
know their number.
Right.
Or even if they are alive, but they are having suffering a serious injury. And nowadays, everybody has the phone in their hand, the social media. They are active in social media. So these things, police have done something and they cannot get away with it. If it were like 15, 20 years ago, probably the thing wouldn't reach to that level. This is how, when this on the social media, this clips was publishing and people seeing these things, they got frustrated. And and, and this is very important, that then the general people also joined to this protest.
Right. I'm
And this
seeing
is how
even
this
women out there giving water to the protesters and giving food and being chanting with them. Even so, Sheikh, let me ask you this. It didn't seem that the political parties in Bangladesh were involved yet. But now it seems that even the political parties are taking, I don't know if they're being opportunist in this, or and they're saying, okay, this is our time to get the Awami League. Let me ask you this, and then I'm going to come to this. What do you see as far as the political crisis of Awami League now? Can it stay in power with what it has done, or what does the future look like, Sheikh, for Awami League now?
Well, it's very hard to say because since this Awami League government came to power for this term, like in 2009, after the election in 2008, and they came to the power very strongly. They've been in
Mm.
the power previously, but there was a similar kind of problem in back in 2007 when army backed government took over, and then after 2 years of that interim government, then we understand that when Awami League came to the power, it came to the power through a negotiation between all the foreign stakeholders. The USA, India, UK, they all supported that time Sheikh Hasina to be on the power, because
Mm.
the the BNP led government was also a failure before that. So when she came very strongly, and that is why what we have seen in last 15 years, she is very dominating, and she hardly care for anything, because you can say it's a coalition between the political party of Awami League, the civil administration, the police, the media. All of them is in a coalition. So basically, the Sheikh Hasina, she is controlling all these major institutions of the country. So she is, in that sense, she is very strong. The only thing she did not care about is the people, because and that's why she did not care about, for having a fair election. There was three consecutive election in Bangladesh which was rigged by this Awami League, and there was no real opposition. That was like, this was like a circus basically. There's no real election, but that did not actually hamper his dominance,
Mm, mm,
because to be in the power, she knows very well that she needs the support from the foreign quarters, the foreign powers like USA,
mm,
India,
mm, mm,
UK.
mm,
And she got that support. She needs the support from the army, and she somehow get this support, and somehow she managed to arrange the whole army setup in a way that is very favorable to her, uh, at least on the officer level, a higher
mm.
rank officer level. And she managed to get support from the civil societies. Usually there is a civil society who criticize on the human rights and other issues, and these people, even though they sometimes raise some voice, but they do not go against the Hasina altogether, because apparently there is a vacuum in the country, there is no alternative. That is another reason that she could take this advantage.
Why is that, Sheikh? I mean, that's a very interesting point that you bring in. Is it because of? I mean, she's been in power for now 20 years. Looks like almost 20 years or so. Uh, and then so they do not allow anyone. I mean, they also have to think about the future of the country. Hopefully, they think about the future of the country. But why is there no opposition, Sheikh? Is it the youth are not? I mean, when you look at the youth and how obviously they're very well aware, they know how to get their voices out, they know how to organize, and then at the same time there is no opposition to the government, meaning there's no opposition that can present a proper leadership to run the country.
Yeah, the reason for this is that the in most of the democratic country we see two party,
Mm,
uh,
mm,
like in UK or in USA, in other part like even in India, in Bangladesh. So in Bangladesh, the two major parties are Awami League and BNP,
right.
basically. But the BNP led government that we had in from early 2000, they also could not curtail the corruption. They could not deliver the up to the people expectation. You see, the country became the champion in corruption uh, 5 times consecutively during the reign of the BNP led government, and also the economic condition was not good. Basically the failure of the government, the previous government, so people did not have any more trust on them. And later, now when Sheikh Hasina took power, people thought that at least we need someone uh, to stay on power for the sake of stability. And what she did, she managed to get some loan from IMF and
Mm,
other foreign countries, and she undertook some mega development projects. So basically, she at least could show the world or show to the people of concern that look, we are developing the country. So basically, if for our Mili government, they use two rhetoric for their politics. One is that they brought the freedom for the independence for the country, because the independence war was led by Awami League.
mm,
And the second one is that now we are rebuilding the country. So in these two narratives actually uh, became bit popular, or at least it works as a safeguard for the uh, government. The other political parties, mostly like BNP, they did not have anything to offer. If we closely look at their activities in last 15 years, they are busy with the main leader of that party, Begum Khaleda Zia.
Mm.
He is seriously ill, not physically well, but the government did not allow her to go out for the treatment. So the party's main activity was to demanding how can our leader can go out to for treatment, go out of the country. And another, the son of Khaleda Zia, Tariq Rahman, who is in exile now in London, and there is some uh, allegation against him, and actually there's some court verdict against him. So he cannot go back to Bangladesh to lead his party. So basically, BNP is, they do not have proper leadership, and they did not actually address the people's issue in last 15 years in their politics. They basically addressed, the right of their leader statement, or they demanded the case being dropped against their leader Tariq Rahman. So they were concerned about themselves, not for the people, if I can put that way.
Mm.
So
Mm.
people were actually leaderless. So there is no such opposition leader. And Sheikh Hasina, she is smart enough, because I would say she managed the all quarters. Anyone who got a political aspiration that I want to be, someone who can challenge the government, either Sheikh Hasina managed that person giving some, government post or something, or maybe threatening him through his security service. So it's a carrot and stick policy. He
Mm.
played very well.
Sheikh, I mean,
So in that
go ahead, go ahead.
in that vacuum, there is no such leadership, but the frustration was actually building up amongst the people, in the general people. And that is what we saw in that protest, because this is people are as if the people are waiting for an ignition, and
Right.
then they could burst out.
Mm.
That is what happened here
So this is
in the last
in
week.
reality not even really a. I mean, I remember when I was there last time, there was also internet cut off, but that was because there was issue going on with buses not properly following the traffic things, and there was running over. I don't know if you remember, they were running over some students, and that turned into a whole. So I was there at that time. But Sheikh, now tell me, what happens to the opposition, at least the student leadership? Uh, I mean, what last time we found a lot of them, on the sides of rivers and things like this. This seems to be like you said. There's a lot of carrot and stick politics that happens in Bangladesh. But this time, still, it looks very much different, Sheikh. Is there somehow a new formation of political opposition to Awami other than BNP? Are you seeing anything being formed? Is this possible, or Yani, what are the next steps of Awami League now? What can they do, and can they really recover from this?
Well, it's very difficult to say at this moment, and the leader of opposition leader, but the popularity of the other leaders, there were some few new political party was formed in last few years, but none of these parties got tested in the election, because there is no election in as such. If we had a proper election, we could probably get some new leaders, and we could find that these political parties got this much popularity. But as there was no you know any credible election in last three consecutive terms, and that is another reason why we didn't get any proper leader or any political party who can actually uh, come up and lead the country. And also the movement you mentioned, the student movement in back in 2018, it was Save Road movement, and it was also led by some school students.
It seems the students have always played a political role there's always students who are on the streets of Bangladesh, very, like we were talking about the whole traffic rules, rights. Buses were kind of, running over students, and there were 2 students that were killed. That was taken up by the students, and then I think there were some reforms made at that time, and now this situation going on. We don't see a real leadership emerging from the students, Sheikh. Or is it that when these types of events happen, and then there is political maneuvering done by the Awami League or the BNP or whoever in order to take these leadership type people from the students and make them from their own party? Is this something that you see happening when they see any type of, opposition or party emerging against at
Obviously,
powers that be?
right. Obviously, Sheikh Hasina, she wants to stay on power as long as possible, and they gave a vision until 2041.
Oof.
There's a they put a manifesto, so it shows that they are here to stay. They don't
I
want
mean,
to go
I
up
guess it's the mother of
and give up.
humanity thing. You're a mother of humanity. You
Yes,
have
we
to.
got that. We got that. So she, you know, uh, do not leave anything unturned, to make sure that her reign is saved. So anyone can be challenging for her. She take preemptive actions basically, and
Mm.
she has the cadre unit Satru League. They also dominate all the universities, educational institution, and they make sure that no other political party can make any sort of activities except the Satru League. So that's another reason. So there's a political, you know, uh, stifling. So people cannot raise their political voice.
But
If
Sheikh,
you are not,
is this only at the universities? But I mean, obviously, Bangladesh is 165 million people, Sheikh. I mean, you're looking at maybe 30-40% of that, maybe 30% of that is students. Outside the student body,
now,
there is nothing that's formed.
I mentioned this because your question was why the
Yeah,
student
the
leadership
students.
is not
Sure,
coming.
sure, sure, sure.
Other sectors also, there was an unrest in the garment sector. There was an unrest in the labor sector. In recently, we had another protest from the rickshaw puller. So
Huh.
in every section, and 2 years back, I remember it was a protest from the farmers.
Uh-huh.
They
Yeah, no.
protested. They burned their crops because they didn't get the fair price for their crops. So there's a different sort of protest. But as I say, the Sheikh Hasina is smart enough. Some of the protests she actually, handled very smartly, and she accepted their demands if it is possible, or at least for the time being. She said that okay, we want to listen to you, and we will make some proposal. We form a committee. That way they usually deal with it. They said
Mm,
okay, we have heard your points. Okay, we are forming a committee, and the committee will sit down with you, and they will make some proposal, and we will reform the things accordingly. You
mm.
see that? So it's not that she always go heavy handed, but this time round she made a mistake. This time somehow she could not control her emotion. She called the protester Rajakar, which
I
is
heard even to
unbelievable.
the point of animals. Somewhere like these animals, something like this.
Yeah, and also and this time they unleashed the student wings, and it happens to be like they assault on the female student, which is
Uh,
taken very
yeah.
seriously. And also, on the top of it, the police get so excited, or I don't know, maybe they were ordered to do so. I don't see any reason to shoot the people
Yeah.
from
I mean, broad
such a
daylight in front
blind
of the point blank, Sheikh, the shooting.
shooting and unprovoked, because it's not like they're defending someone. It's not like they actually dealing with any armed violent protester. They are peaceful protester.
Mm.
But all this, when you add up, then something that happened, they did not even think about it. But what I say that the vacuum was there, the frustration was there, and at some point it was meant to happen actually, and this time round it happened.
Sheikh, what is the role
And
of
sorry, the important point is that even this time there is no such leadership. It is a
mm,
spontaneous revolt against the government.
that's what I'm saying.
So, and that is a
Can
difficult
this?
point.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That is a difficult point thing for the government to control this. When there
Mm,
was a student
mm, mm,
protest, like road safety protest, there was some leaders, even among the student, young
mm,
student, they could invite them in the government offices, in the prime minister house, and could manage them. And when there was a unrest in the garment sector, there were some leaders, known
mm,
leaders,
mm,
and they
mm,
could
mm.
them and could sit down with them and make a deal. But this time round is difficult. With whom you are going to make a deal? It's not
Mm,
a quota reform protest anymore.
mm.
Quota reform, they have the high court, Supreme Court made a verdict today, and effectively it accepted all the demand that the students were making earlier this week. Now they're saying that the 93% of this job will go on the basis of merit. Only 5% is reserved for the freedom fighters and their family, and 2% for the other, physically challenging person, which is fine. If that was done a week ago, then that wouldn't have happened. Understand? But now thing has gone out of control, and the ruling party, they are not sure with whom they can sit down, with whom they can make a deal,
So,
to
what's the deal now?
stand
Now is what is it? What's the whole issue now, Sheikh Inani? Let's say because now it has turned bloody.
with a
It's
mass
so
mass
it's a mass. I mean, it's
mass
a
revolution.
murder on the streets. So now you're talking about. So that's what I'm asking you. So now it's no longer just the, let's say, a protest regarding the quota system, but now it's government accountability. What will happen? The police will there have to be arrests. There will have to be people who were account. I mean, how does the accountability look like, Sheikh? What does it mean?
Well, that is the reason, the why this so much frustration actually build up within the people, because they did not have any avenue, any institution where they could actually, go and extinguish their anger. The court is controlled, the media is controlled, all these things are controlled. Even the economic situation is so bad, the prices of essentials are so high beyond the people's means. I mean, the inflation is skyrocketing, there's no jobs, healthcare system is a disaster, the education sector is also a disaster. So all this makes so frustrated. No institution is working. The police, if you go to the police station, you cannot file a case against someone, because they, first of all, they will check whether that person is connecting to the ruling party or not. So you're not getting the justice. When you do not get the justice, when you do not get the right, your economic right, your political right, then people are frustrated, and that's why they were waiting for this opportunity. When they got this opportunity, when they saw the students are out, they came out automatically and they demanded, and they had a anger against the police. They attacked the police. Then police, when, because police already showed you know the protesters, so they know that this is the chance. Now we have to attack them, and we have to make a situation so that Hasina step down. You
That's what
understand?
I'm asking.
So
So are you seeing this is possible now, Sheikh? Is it possible that Hasina has to may have to come down or
sorry, go on.
no? I'm just wondering. I mean, is this now? Has the political situation, the crisis, reached to the boiling point where Awami League can be out of power?
That is a possibility, and because the situation is so critical, I would say that if the government stays in power, those whom those who protested, who joined the protest, and this number is huge, they will be in trouble, because they know that we cannot go back home, because they are now known. The government and their security officers, they have collected the footages,
Mm.
the all this system, everything is there, and a lot of them actually came in public and openly make statement criticizing the government. Some university teachers, some journalists, some well-known civil intellectuals who were silent up to this point. But in last few days we saw they making statement, they criticizing the government, uh, and these people will be in trouble if the government stays on.
Mm. So
They
now
carry
they
on.
don't have a choice. Now they must.
On the other hand, if the government steps down, if Sheikh Hasina, she gave up and she flees the country, like what we have seen in Sri Lanka, previously. Uh, but she cannot take all the leaders, all the people, our Awami League leaders with her. Even if she flees out of country, the other people, they will be in country,
Sheikh,
and
so
they
I mean, so are you telling me that? Well, this is very interesting to hear. So you're saying it can be a point where Hasina can actually leave the country, would have to seek some type of political asylum somewhere. Is this possible now?
I think, given the situation now and the other issues that we had in the past, like
Huh.
in 2013, and there's allegation against her to kill the student from madrasa, the Islamic school, and
Yes.
when there was a
Yeah.
protest,
I didn't know if I could ask. That's why I wasn't asking this question, because I know she had.
there was a huge-
That was another massacre.
yeah, that was part because of there was some people who made some defamatory comment against our beloved Prophet Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and that sparked that protest, and it built up and it became huge in 2013. And the student from the Islamic school, mainly the madrasa, they came to Dhaka, and remember that time it was Arab Springs was going on in other parts of the world, like and there. So the government, they were in trouble that time, and they did the same things, like they cut off the electricity, they cut off the internet, and then somehow the security forces, they uh, put the pressure, they open fire, and we do not know actually how many people died. There's huge rumor. Some said that its number is thousand, some said that hundreds, but there was definitely lots of bloodshed on that street. But
Even at
Hasina
nights, I
government
heard they
managed.
went even in the madaris, inside the madaris, and killed people.
Yeah, later on,
Mm.
after this, and they managed to find out all the leaders, and most of the leaders are still inside the bar, in the jail. Some of the leaders had to compromise with the government because of the pressure from the security officers. So this is how she dealt that time. So because she was still in power, nobody could do anything. Now, going back to your question, if she step down, so all this accusation, everything, she needs to face the trial, and
Mm.
if the trial goes on, uh, and she will, she might face a severe punishment or something, so I don't think that if she steps down, she will take a risk of staying in the country. She will probably flee the country and going out to take some political asylum somewhere in the west, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. But as I was saying, that even if she
Maybe she'll
flees,
go to Delhi this time. I don't know.
uh, probably not. I don't think so,
No,
because
most likely London, Sheikh.
most likely because this ruling party has a very traditional relationship with the Britain
Mm.
since the time of her father Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And because this Awami League is the descendant of the Muslim League, so the Muslim League and Congress, these two political parties, was created by the British
Right, right.
before they
So this
left
is a
the.
historical connection here.
Certainly,
Okay, I see. Okay, now I see where this whole thing. Sheikh, now tell me. I guess I'm really curious to know. I mean, do you see some type of uh, new leadership emerging in Bangladesh? And if you do see who might they be?
well, what I can sense on the ground that people are really frustrated, and fed up with the traditional political parties. Because they know that whether it's Awami League or BNP, it will be just a change of faces, but the system will remain the same. And
Mm,
now the people can make that connection. That is the source of the problem is the system. The main problem in Bangladesh is the corruption,
right.
which is actually a systematic problem. It's not that it's connected with the person; it's the system. Because otherwise, um, whoever goes to the power, why they become a monster?
Mm,
So something wrong with the system. You understand? So they now searching for a new leadership, definitely. And on that perspective, in my understanding and as far as what I observe in the society, I think there's a demand for Islam
mm,
because
Subhanallah.
you know the democracy has failed us. The secular democracy has failed us. We had this since the independence, or this democratic movement we had, and from 1990 when the General Eshad was the president of the country, he stepped down. Then we restored democracy with the all party BNP, Awami League, and the other Islamic parties. All of them, they were in agreement that we will establish a good democracy and democracy can take us forward. But it's been now 25 years now. No, so I think 35 years since 1992 up to this 34 years
Mm,
for the democratic rule we have, but neither our uh, institutions are strong enough to deliver justice. For example, this still the judiciary is controlled by the rulers. Still, the financial institutions are controlled by the ruling parties. The bank and those things give loans only to the few people who are very rich,
mm,
elites.
mm,
So the people on the ground, they are having the same problem we have 50 years ago when we fought the liberation war. So things has not been changed. We are in the same kind of mess. People still struggling to even to meet their um, basic needs.
right.
The people are finding it difficult to arrange the finance for the son and daughter to study.
So, Sheikh, I mean,
So
do you when you say Islam, people are looking at an alternative. They've realized that democracy is failing. I mean, it's failing almost everywhere. We see the political crisis here in the U.S. I think today Joe Biden said he cannot run anymore. He's going to step down. Then you have assassination attempt on Trump. You have there's a leadership crisis seems to be almost everywhere in the world, Sheikh. In reality. Uh, so when you're saying Islam uh, in Bangladesh, uh, what uh, are the people meaning? What do they expect, Sheikh, when they say Islam? I guess that's what I'm asking. Because when I was there, a lot of times, of course, I was in and out of Bangladesh, so I couldn't really, I mean, seriously sense the what the population was looking. I mean, Bangladesh is very secular in many ways. Uh, people, sometimes they would worry if I say Allahu Akbar. I mean, I remember our my auto rickshaw, whatever. I was in a situation; it was stuck, and we were trying to pull it out, and I was just saying Allahu Akbar and pulling this thing, and some people were concerned that I was saying Allahu Akbar so loud. And they would look here and there to see there is no, maybe Awami party, this party, that party. Is that so? When you say Islam, what does that mean in Bangladesh?
Well, people, you are right. The country is a secular country in terms of its system, its political system that is prevailing now. But if you look at the people, these people are, you know, in the deep in their heart, they have the Islamic Aqidah, the
Yes, of
Islamic
course.
belief
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
Islam.
There's no question about that.
And people, with the exception of few people, are mostly like practicing, in the personal ibadah issue. Obviously, the other things of Islam you cannot practice without the state setup. But these people, they have believe in Islam, but in the political arena, they were never presented with an Islamic idea, I would say,
Mm.
because all the intellectuals, they are, talking about democracy, secularism, all these things. But unfortunately, the Islam was not presented in that way. Islam was presented by the Sufis, by the, if I can mention the name, Tablighi types of groups, they mainly target the personal reforms,
Mm.
not the, societal level, or giving a kind of confidence of, who can run the state. So they saw these Islamic people, they are good people, but they are probably good for, leading the Salah, or
Charity. Mm.
leading the other Islamic rituals. But they couldn't see that these people are smart enough to run the country. But there is a change since, I would say, in last 2 decades, 15, 20 years. What I can see now, lots of even students who are studying from in a private universities, studying in the public university, not from the madrasas, not from the Islamic school. They are also, if we look at their social medias, we can see that they are, talking about Islam. So
Mm.
this is how where I can, that's why I said that that I can sense that there is a demand for Islam, and also people understood that whoever coming to the power in Bangladesh in the current setup, they have to be very loyalist to the India. Be
Mm.
subjugating, very good relationship with India. And in on the ground, you have traveled to Bangladesh. I think you would understand that there's a huge anti-Indian sentiment,
Right.
because Indian border guards, they kill people on a regular basis. India, they build a dam on the common rivers, and they stop the water coming to our rivers. As
Right.
a result, we are having
I
an
think that's
ecological disaster.
on the Rizvi. What side is that? I forgot the.
In the north side, but
Right.
it's this not only one river now. There are out of 54 rivers that we have common with India. They have now a project of, to make a build on 51 rivers.
Huh.
So you understand that if all this project is going on, they have already built the Farakka, it's one of the dam on the main river called Padma. They have also built another
Right. Right. Right.
dam on the side of the what in our district called Sylhet over there, and they have another
Silat,
plan
yes.
to,
I think that's one of the
yeah,
main reasons for even the floods that happen is because seems like this is the reason for the
exactly.
floods even
So
that's
they are
killing thousands of
whenever
people on a yearly
they
basis.
exactly. So in many ways, India actually, dominating us. Even on, the drugs we have in our country, like, drugs
Pharmacies.
called, yeah, but which are actually spoiling our youth generation. Some of them, if you just look at this, most of them coming from India.
Right.
So there are many issues in our market. There last year, sorry, 2 3 years back, I think, I can't remember the year, there was a huge crisis on onion,
Mm.
because they stopped, giving us onion. So they also control our market. And on the other hand, what happened? The farmer, when they grow the rice, the paddy, then the government somehow is forced to import rice from the India, and as a result, the rice price drop, and our farmer, they suffers.
Mm.
So these are the few examples. I'm not. There are many examples that India is controlling our market. They're controlling our river. On the border. They are killing our innocent villagers, and so people are not happy with India. But what they can sense that with the current setup, whoever is, whether it's BNP or whether it's Awami League, whoever coming to the power, they will be subjugated to the India. So if we want to get out of this, because India is surrounding, almost all the side of Bangladesh, with the exception of one area in the uh, southeast, which is we have a border with Myanmar.
Right.
Otherwise, the other two side is surrounded by India. So if we want to get a real independence, that our policy and our market is not going to be interfered by the Indians, then we must need a very strong leadership, and that strong leadership is only possible if we are united under Islam. Because when you establish a state on the basis of Islam, and Islamic system is there, then the Muslim of the all over the world, you can connect with them.
Mm. Subhanallah.
Understand? So there is a possibility that you can expand even, or you can get the support from the Muslim from all over the world. Because when you declare that this is a state for the Muslim,
Mm.
then you can attract the Muslim from all over the world, and they will give you the support. And this is how you can actually make a sustainable, a real independence. So if people who actually understand this equation, and who can appreciate that we need a real change rather than a change of face, they are now looking forward to Islam.
Sheikh, this is
They
very
want to go.
interesting. You are a member of Bangladesh Supreme Court Bar. I mean, this is not a small position. This is a very high position in society in general. You've been a lawyer for 10 years. You live in Bangladesh. Uh, I mean, is this something that is commonly discussed amongst the elite class of Bangladesh? Where the Islam is actually something that is a possibility in Bangladesh, something that is, uh, a conversation that takes place amongst the elite. I mean, again, you are coming from, uh, uh, a part of society that is not. I mean, you're not from Amatun Nas. Let's put it this way. I mean, you're not. You are sitting and standing and discussing with people like yourself. What conversations do you hear, Sheikh, when this kind of conversations begins?
Alhamdulillah, I had opportunity to sit down with some high influential peoples of the country. Uh, and whenever I get a chance, then I ask those people that what is the way forward, because everybody on the reality, the current system is not functioning, is not delivering. Everybody can know that. Everybody can sense that. So when I ask people that what is the way forward, what is an alternative, a lot of them actually respond that yes, we need a new system. Some of them, some who are in very secular in their mind, they cannot think about Islam definitely. But uh, when I present to them that yes, what about the Islamic system? Sometimes they get shocked. They think that this is probably very unbelievable things. Maybe it's not a possibility. Uh, but some of them appreciate. Some of them think that we understand that this is going to happen or it needs to happen, but we are not in a position that we stand for it. So the point I'm making that even the intellectual of high level, or the people of power in the high level, some of them appreciates, and some of them can sense that yes, Islamic system would be the right system for this country to go forward. But not all of them will in public come out and stand for it. But
Mm,
I'm sure they will do it because in deep down they have feelings for Islam when they will find an opportunity. Like
mm,
this in this protest, what we see that people had this anger, but they did not burst out. But when they saw the students are coming out, they burst out. So similar thing would happen, if if the Islamic system is established by some people or a group of people or the people of power, then the other people will come and join. I mean, it's not going to find a very resistance like in what happened in probably in the other part of the world. I believe in Bangladesh it will be much easier because the most of the people have a very uh, strong feelings for Islam, and
no,
they
that's
have
true.
a
That is true. Sheikh, let me ask you this. You know, the Awami Party, when they came in party, they did. It seems like there was almost a coup against the military. There was a lot of people within the military that was killed for Awami Party to get in power. Uh, when I guess what I'm asking is what is the feeling amongst the military now? I mean, I know the police is out there. I mean, there's a lot of obviously security forces are out there. There's government thugs out there. There's this Shatru League. All these people are out there. Where is the military in all of this, Sheikh?
well, due to this communication blockade, the internet blockade and the telecommunication cut off, we do not get the exact
Mm.
news. But what we have learned that uh, the some junior officers they uh, disagreed with their senior officers to come onto the street
Huh.
and they pointed their gun against the students. But I cannot confirm this. This is what I learned from the other sources, including Channel 4. UK Channel 4. They also
Mm.
reported the same things. Uh, so I believe that there is a tension within the army because even when I personally met some of the army officers, uh, I could sense that they were not happy,
Mm.
because the way country was running, and the way the whole army, the Sheikh Hasina made it subjugated to the Indians.
Right.
That
Yeah.
made a lot of army officers unhappy. And also, I think the events you mentioned that happened in 2009, right after Sheikh Hasina took the power, there was a mutiny in the paramilitary base in Bangladesh,
Right.
where a lot of army officers died, and army officers and the other people, they strongly believe that it was a conspiracy from India.
Mm.
And due to the Indian conspiracy, so we lost many army officers, at
Very
least 70
very intelligent officers even. It wasn't just anybody. There was a very high any
high rank officers
right.
who were mainly anti-Indian. They were known for
Mm.
their anti-Indian stance. So these people have their followers, the junior officers who actually remember those things. They were not happy. And also in Bangladesh army, it was built by the army officer. They came from Pakistani army basically.
Mm.
After the independence, those Bengali officers who were in the Pakistani army, they came to Bangladesh. And when the Bangladeshi army was formed, they arranged the training and everything. So even if we were separated from the Pakistan, but the army training and all the army philosophy, if you can like, was the same what we had during the time of Pakistan.
Mm.
Because the only foreign trade Bangladesh has is from India. So if army, when they plan their strategy how to save the country, their imaginary enemy is India. Because
Wow. But
Pakistan is not
why is
going to
it,
attack
Sheikh?
Bangladesh
Why is
anymore.
it that the way it's always you see as if Pakistan is the enemy, Pakistan is the, you know how maybe we're sensing it wrong, but sometimes we sense that it's anti-Pakistan. But the way you're describing, it's not really it's more anti-India. There, it's very clear.
It's more anti-Indian, but also, due to the political strategy, the mainly the ruling party, Awami League, they keep this rolling, the anti-Pakistani sentiment.
Mm.
You understand that how the nation is divided. So this ruling party, they are saying that the all other opposition parties, they are allying with the Pakistan, and the
Mm.
opposition party, they're saying that the government is allying with the India. So we are, as a Bangladeshi, we do not have a particular identity as such. Some of them are the agent of India, and some of them are agent of Pakistan. But on reality, now after 53 years, the most of these students, they understand that Pakistan are not going to attack us. We do not share the border with Pakistan. The Pakistan issue is just for the political benefit of Awami League,
Mm. Mm.
so that they can take the political benefit.
Sheikh,
So uh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
so that is why the division amongst the people. This is another reason I would say that the secularism has failed to unite the people.
Mm.
As a nation, as a country, if we want to go forward, if we want to be a leading country, and we have all that ingredients for be a leading country in the world. We have the natural resources, we have the manpower, but we lack the political aspiration. If our leaders are divided like in Indian camp and Pakistani camp, how are we going to go forward? So the secularism could not, unite the people. That is why Islam is important, because historically we have seen, even if I give you the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he traveled to Medina, then there was a two factions, Aus and Khazraj, they were fighting. I make an analogy, the Awami BNP, and we need someone, a leader who will unite us on the basis of Islam.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this go on, as it happened during the time of Zahiliya. People fight for some, trivial issues for year after year. And if you look at the Bangladesh, the same thing, the issue of Rajakar, issue of freedom fighters, after 53 years, most of the freedom fighters died now. But we are there, their descendants are now fighting on this issue. This is a sign of ignorance.
Sheikh,
Jahiliya.
طبعا. I just the issue of China, let's say, I mean, there's one side you have India there, and the other side you have China. Just because we have 5 minutes, what role does China play in the region when it comes to Bangladesh?
Well, the China is an economic power now in the world, and they finance in many of our mega development projects.
Mm.
As like China has invested in other parts of the world, we have seen in Africa, in other countries, even in Pakistan, in Sri Lanka. So what we see that they have some economic interest, definitely, because when they give out this loan, they want to do it on a favorable conditions, so that they can get this loan back, and huge return. But so far we haven't seen any political aspiration from the China, because we have seen on the ground lot of Indian agents.
Mhm.
The Indian embassy, they have a different missions in Bangladesh operating, and the Indian intelligence service raw, they have their operations within the country. We know that, but from the China side, we haven't seen anything like this. But we do not know what's going to happen in future, because China, they have their own plan. They are investing in the country, so they in future they might be interested in the security of that country, so that their investment are safe. But so far we haven't seen anything from them. But at the same time, the point is you know important to be made that the US, it has a particular strategy against China.
Mm,
US wants to contain China, and in the South Asia and Southeast Asia, it doesn't have the US doesn't have any base. It has its allies, which is India, main allies in the South Asia. So through India, they can make some plan for Bangladesh, because the strategic importance of Bangladesh,
mm,
the Bay of Bengal and all other. If you look at the geopolitical interest, the Bangladesh has become very important for US, and that is why US also wants that there's a stable government in Bangladesh, so that
mm,
they can make some long-term plan. And this is they do it through India, and that is the reason the Sheikh Hasina could stay on power for such a long time, because if they want to make a strategy to contain China, they cannot do it with the keep changing the government. So they need a stable government, and particularly when in Myanmar, eh, the the American allies, the Wang San Suu Kyi, when she
mm,
got arrested and the army took the power, so America lost their friend in that region.
mm.
So they want Bangladesh, so that in anything in future, if they need to do any against the China, so that they can use this land. So this is also, as a
SubhanAllah.
Bangladeshi, I would say to the other Bangladeshi fellows and the Muslim of the world that we don't want to be used by the other superpowers. We don't want to be used in the we don't want to be like scapegoats for them. You
SubhanAllah.
understand? So, like what happened in Pakistan, they fought against the Afghanistan, and Pakistan land was used for this.
Right.
So I don't know that the point is going to go to that point, but definitely Bangladesh and its geopolitical location has been very important for US, and that
Mm.
is why it wants a full grip on Bangladesh through India.
That's very. There's a lot of points there. That would take one more session, inshallah, and we'll have to have this. But Sheikh, final question: the students. What advice do you have to the students? Let's say if there are students from Bangladesh watching this, they see that somebody, like you speaking and talking about the situation. What advice do you give them? What should they do now? What direction? What should happen now? Is after losing hundreds of students, thousands injured, hundreds killed. Only Allah knows what all of this is going to happen still. And I think they've even cut off electricity. There's a lot going on. So, what advice do you have for the students? Where do we go from here?
Yes. Well, army has already been deployed. So I will ask the students who are watching this from outside Bangladesh, if they can make this point that uh, that the student who are protesting on the street, the people who are protesting on the street, they are the sufferer, they are the Muslim. So let's make a call to the army, to not to take the side of the oppressor, the
Mm,
rulers, take the side of the zalim, rather they take the side of the Muslim. So, and if the army, they take the side of the people, then this oppressive government cannot stay longer, and she will definitely she will have to step down. And second point is not only it's not on good enough that Hasina steps down. It's also important that who comes to the power,
mm,
because we need to be very vigilant.
mm,
That because at this time we see all the people are coming here to claim their share of the pie. When things are changing, everybody is coming to grab their share, but we need to be vigilant because we don't want the same thing continue. We have seen the revolution being hijacked in the Arab world.
Right.
Even the
Subhanallah.
people came out on the street, the face of the ruler changed, but system continues. As a result, people are still suffering. So hopefully, inshallah, if this is a successful revolution, then inshallah there will be a change of system, and inshallah a system will come that will look after us and ensure our rights, economic rights, our political rights, and that will give us the real freedom, the emancipation from the other foreign powers that are controlling us, so that we can be really independent and be a leading nation in the world, inshallah.
I mean, Wallah, Sheikh, Brother Rezaul Karim, yani, Wallah, Jazakallah khair. This was a uh, very inspiring, actually, interview even for me. Um, I mean, it really, when I spoke to you, I didn't, first of all, it shocks me knowing that you are from such a, member of again I know I keep repeating this, but this is something that I want people to know. Sometimes we forget that we think that people in those positions in high levels, they don't think about Islam, or Islam is far away from the minds of the people, but subhanallah, this discussion actually shows that there are, alhamdulillah, Muslims in high places are thinking and want Islam, and inshallah this is a sign that Islam is coming back. And the point that you made, that inshallah for real independence, not just from ruling elites, but also from ruling powers, that in Bangladesh can actually, inshallah, become one of the sources of independence for the rest of the Muslim world. And another point that you made, which is very interesting, and something that to be pointed, which is we have seen revolutions or revolts or protests taken over by foreign powers, foreign money, dirty money, foreign interests. And we saw that in Syria, we saw that in many places of the world, all over the Arab world. And that's another point that we need to make sure that it doesn't get there, and so we don't lose the blood of the shuhada who are taking a stand. Jazakallah khair, Brother Reza, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you and preserve you and continue to use you for this deen and for this Muslim ummah, Sheikh. Wallah, thank you for your time.
Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam.
لن يطول الظلام ديننا لن يضام نحن جيل الهمام نحن فينا عمر لا 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 لن يطول الظلام ديننا لن يضام نحن جيل الهمام نحن فينا عمر صبح بدا نور ظهر نجم وشمس وقمر ألقى على الدنيا الدرر هذا عمر هذا عمر كل البرايا تنتظر أيامه البيض الغرر كي تستفيد من العبر هذا عمر هذا عمر لا لن تدوم الجراح بل سيأتي الصباح نحن أهل الكفاح نحن فينا عمر لا لا لن تدوم الجراح بل سيأتي الصباح